Well, hey, everyone. Welcome to Between Sundays podcast. So glad that you are joining us today. If you don't know, I am your host, Dale Satrum, and I am here with my super fun and entertaining co-host, Katie Jones.
Hey, guys.
Jeremy Lara.
Hey, guys.
Let's go.
Let's go.
There you go.
There it
Okay.
is. That's what we start
Thank
with.
you.
Signature for
Yes,
Jeremy.
now we can begin.
Right.
So if you're new to the podcast, thanks for joining us, and just want you to know this is a place where, listen, we have a faith in Jesus, and we know that it is difficult following Jesus between the Sundays. And so we want to deal with real life. We want to deal with the messy, the tension, and sometimes we deal with the things that, well, you're probably not going to hear about a lot in church. But we want the cards on the table. We want to deal with the real, the gritty, and the things that really matter. And so this is what the podcast is all about. So before we jump into our super fun topic today, guys, how we doing?
Good.
Just check in
We're
here.
Doing good.
All right. Look at
White knuckling. No,
they're white.
Yeah. Doing good. We just had the well yesterday.
The well was
So-
last night. Yeah.
The well was last night, so that was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
that
And we
was
got to do
great.
that.
That was so good. Jeremy, you guys
yeah.
sounded awesome.
I'm
That
glad.
was,
I'm glad.
10 out of
Good.
10 worship.
Let's go. Let's
Very
go.
good. Yeah.
Let's go. Good.
Okay, the well, for those of you that don't know, it is just it's a once a month right now on Tuesday nights, and it's kind of aiming for that 20-something to 40-something age group, which again means that I can't go. But anyway, you guys can, and so
Retired.
Yeah,
Check your ID at the door. No,
yeah. They don't. There's childcare, but it's just a different vibe, a different environment, and it's connecting with God, connecting with each other, is developing community, and just some space to learn and grow together and discuss the Word of God together. It's not just listening; it's worship, it's discussion. It's just a lot of cool things. So. Look, I'm selling it, and I'm not even going. All right, how am I doing?
You're doing amazing.
Okay, I'm doing amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, free food and free childcare.
Yeah, there you
say
go.
less, you know,
So,
but
We'll give you an exception to make it to the well.
Well,
We'll give you an exception.
I already
a special
told.
guest
I already
appearance.
told Clouser that I'm going to the next one.
Oh, let's
I'm
go.
coming. Yeah, but
Preach.
I mean,
Preach.
FOMO can only handle. I can only handle so much. Okay, so
There is some good FOMO. That
Yeah,
was my
it
first
is.
one. I missed the first one because we were out sick, so I was excited. It was great.
Yeah, it was
the
a lot
mood,
of fun.
I mean, the lighting, and obviously you guys see our studio. That's got Jeremy's fingerprints all over it. So Jeremy did the aesthetics for. I have an appreciation for it because I'm not good at it. But I can like recognize like, oh, that person's got talent for and Renee put it just like
Oh,
sets
yeah.
the mood.
I know.
It's very calming, and Sam gave an awesome message. It was
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
there you go.
Let's
Yep.
go. I'm
Yep.
glad.
Okay,
That's
there's
awesome.
a promo for the well.
Heck
Cool.
yeah.
Now we're gonna jump into something super fun, and I'm gonna turn it over to Katie because she's gonna get us launched into. This is our current events, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know?
So, and usually, typically, if this is your first time listening, typically on a current events episode, we do 3 segments where we do what everyone's talking about, what not enough people are talking about, and then at the end we do like a good news. So typically that's what we do, but we're kind of scratching the surface with the very broad topic of sex and marital sex and just all the things. So this is a disclaimer again. Little ears might not be the most best episode for them to be listening to. We'll leave it up to the parents' judgment, but we'll just throw that out there. But today we're talking about a movie that's out that has gained tons of traction, mostly with women, I imagine. It's Wuthering Heights. So I wasn't super familiar. I looked a little more and I'm like, oh, this is, I think it was an 1847 literature, kind of like that gothic romance type novel. But from my understanding, I haven't read the book, so somebody might correct me, but from my understanding, it's this, darker love story about a woman named Catherine, a man named Heathcliff, and Heathcliff is raised with her. He's kind of an orphan, lowly social class. Her dad takes him in, but there's some abuse in the home, things like that. But they fall in love, but it's like this dark, twisted love story where he's really jealous. She decides to marry for social class instead of him, and then he ends up going off, becoming rich, coming back. She's already married. So like that's kind of what the book is about, but it's about more like generational trauma and revenge and toxic love.
Gotcha,
So
okay.
the movie, though, it kind of has that like that kink to it in the commercials. I didn't watch the movie, but when I didn't know any of this, I was like, oh, like maybe it's they made it like a historical love story. So like that's appealing to me. But the more I kind of researched, I was like, oh, I won't make Jared go watch that. I won't do it to him. But the movie, I won't get into how they're marketing, but they're marketing it very well. And women are really like grappling on to this. So we thought we would have a conversation.
I pulled this up, by the way.
Yeah, you looked into it?
I did.
Yeah.
I had no clue what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So I looked it up. Oh, so this movie it's like their opening day box office or whatever it was, their weekend or whatever it was, day or a weekend. It was like 35 million. It was a #1 movie, and like 77% of the attendees were women.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, it's
not surprising.
it's a chick flick.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. They marketed it very well.
Absolutely.
You might be a Margot Robbie fan or a Jacob. What's his last name? Eldordi.
Elordi.
I was
look at us go.
Yeah.
Something like
so
that.
there's good actors, actresses in there. I totally get the appeal. And I was at first I was like, oh, I want to go see that. And then the more that's coming out, I'm on the fence. But we thought we would just make it. And again, no judgment either way. If you saw it, if you're not going to see it, if you feel strongly either way, no judgment there. We just thought this is a great topic to talk about the culture of women and kind of like the smutty books. Is it the same as porn? Do we hold women to the same standard that we do men for porn? Is it? So
we do not. Sorry.
So we're gonna have a discussion around that.
Question answered.
Yes.
Question answered.
Yes. So
what does PD mean by that?
The first question we kind of put on here just to open up the floor here, and we want to hear from you guys. So let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah.
Or again, guys, if this sparks like a thought or an experience that you think would be valuable for us to share, sometimes it doesn't even have to be a question. Send us an experience. If you think it would help someone else, we want to hear from you. This is we want you in the conversation. So make sure to send those to bspodcast@foothillsonline.com. But let's get into it. If porn is sin for men, why do we give smut a pass for women? I'll let you guys take the floor because I'm like, I gotta be a voice for some of the women out there so they don't feel super attacked. But let's.
Dale is itching right now.
Yeah, you take it away,
please.
Well, I think there's a double standard. I mean, I really do. I think that we're going to focus so much on the visual porn, and yes, it's sinful, and yes, it's out there, and yes, it's available, and all. So I'm not sitting here saying that it's not an issue, but what I'm saying is that it almost feels like that women get a free pass because it's not visual, but it's narrative porn, and that's okay. So it's okay to read about graphic sex scenes, and again, what's the definition of porn? So basically it's whatever's written, what's visual, is to create arousal, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep,
and that's basically
that's
it's there with the intended purpose to create arousal. So if you're reading something, it's not only creating arousal, is it creating arousal that is you're putting yourself in the story. I mean, isn't that a good book? When we read a good book, we put ourselves in the story. You're kind of in the story. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, oh, I know women go, well, I'm just reading it, but I'm not putting myself in the story. Really? Mm-hmm. It sounds like some of the same excuses I hear from men. Very similar. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, it's just images. They're just pictures. They're just, really? Your mind creates the image. So is it less sinful for your mind to create an image versus looking at an image on a screen? All right. And so there's this double standard. If you're actually fantasizing about having sex with somebody else besides your spouse, I don't care whether it's on your phone or it's in your book.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference?
Yeah. Well,
ladies,
and we'll just put out there, fantasies in themselves are not wrong necessarily, but you're absolutely right. If you're reading this book and you're like, oh, I wish my husband would do that. It automatically, it's like, would you want your husband to be watching porn and be like, oh, I wish my wife would do that? It's
okay, so let's talk about that.
Feel.
So now it's like, well, yeah, but my husband watches porn. How can I compete with that? Well, that's valid. Absolutely true. Mm-hmm. But you're reading something and it's creating the exact same thing in your brain it's doing to your husband. Mm-hmm. And how can he compete with that? Yeah. It's no different. It's no different.
Right.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
Go,
no,
Jeremy, come
I'm just
on.
gonna say
it,
like
Jump in here, buddy.
in extreme. Okay, so I can use two different ideas, but let's say as a guy, if you watch porn with your eyes, let's say for a moment you shut your, you close your eyes, right, and you're just listening to it. That's still considered porn, right? Like the porn hasn't changed, even though you visually can't see it, you can still hear it. The same way in a book,
Oh, that's a great point.
you can hear porn. You know, you don't have to visually see it. It's still porn. You know, it's still that thing, and so it doesn't change from a book or a video or this or that. So
Now, we are
Absolutely.
not
That's a great
saying,
point.
yeah, and it is a great point. We are not saying, though, that romance books are wrong.
mhm.
That's like saying that watching a romance movie is wrong. No, 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 no. That's not what we're saying. I think sometimes there is a line that's crossed, and we are not here to define that line. I'm sorry, we're not here to do that. That's almost impossible to define. It might even be a little bit different for every person. I don't know, because you're really kind of splitting hairs here. I think every person has to know where their line is. It's like appreciating beauty, with our eyes and not letting it go to lust. Okay, I mean, there's a line in there for everyone. Even so, you're reading a romance novel, and can they describe certain things without it being porn? Well, of course. I mean, so
Song of Solomon's there.
where's the where's the line?
Right.
So again, we're not saying that that's wrong.
Right.
Right. So
No, absolutely. And just to go off of what you say too, and I love that what you just said too, Jeremy, but I feel like if you're reading a book and you're looking more forward to this fictional man than you are your own husband, that's like a huge red flag. Like if you're reading a chapter and you're looking more forward to that than like a date with your husband and sex with your own spouse, like that is really problematic. But I think a lot of women, it's just so accepted in our culture that we can have these blinders on. And I'm not preaching at anybody, because my like 18 to 20 era, I will totally admit to you guys, I read 50 Shades. I was on the 50 Shades bandwagon. I was on Twilight bandwagon.
yeah, let's talk about 50 Shades of Grey.
Right.
Once again, so many women were.
Oh,
I
but
mean, they loved that book.
My sister
Movie, everything
said
else.
it perfectly to me once. She was like, if he was fat and lived in a trailer, you would not like that story. I'm like, you're right. It's something weird. Like when you kind of can put things in perspective, you're like, why do I? What? Now, again, like that's, if you're into that stuff, that's not necessarily like bad, but it's really promoting this dark, like abusive. It's not even just the sex. Like women seem to really cling to this toxic, you are mine, I can control you, and I'm protecting you. And it's actually, I didn't pull the studies in on this one, but I was listening to another podcast this morning on this, and I will try and find those studies and we can link them. But it was talking about my age group was a certain percentage higher when we grew up reading these books. We were more likely to be in an abusive relationship and stick around than others that were not reading these books. And I thought that was such a fascinating
Interesting
point, because you're right. They do really romanticize these men that maybe have like, a couple really good positive character attributes. They're rich, they're good looking, they're successful. Maybe they're just so protective. But then when you actually like look into the story more, like Edward and Bella, if you guys are Twilight fans, I apologize. But she was willing to commit suicide because he left her. She was depressed for a year, and we just kind of gloss over that because it's just so romantic. He was going to commit suicide because he thought she committed suicide.
So we romanticize these dark pieces.
Yes.
And we
And
normalize them. So
I
then we
suppose
normalize these behaviors.
You could say that's been around for a while. Juliet, Romeo, like I suppose.
Well, sure.
And then this Wuthering Heights was a book, but the sexual piece is kind of maybe a little bit, maybe not newer, but I think we've embraced it so much more, and we like desire it. There's something weird happening with this culture. So yes, we talked porn for men is visual. Porn for women is often emotional and narrative, which is what you were saying. So why is it harder to call out, do you think, for women?
Why? Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think the visual pieces of porn is always associated to men, unfortunately, because I don't think that's always a fair case. All right. I think we just automatically assume there's this huge divide.
Mm-hmm.
Statistically, it doesn't play out that way. Men are always visual and women are more narrative oriented. I mean, okay, generalities exist, but it just doesn't always play out that way. I mean, I've been working with people for 40 years, so it's not always like that. I think it's just easier to go after what's visual. I think it's harder to pick on a book. It's harder to pick on literature. But this is it's I don't know. It gets more airtime, that's for sure,
there's
too.
probably women arguing, well, it's not real people that I'm watching. So that they might justify it in their minds like it's just, yeah, exactly. It's just words.
Right. I think sometimes, too, is we focus so much on the external. Jesus says what defiles you is not what's inside of us, is what. And so when you're reading or watching porn, you're putting something inside of you. So it's not just because it's visual. We can, lust is lust.
Yeah, it's a heart posture.
It really is, and so whether you that's created through the written word, or whether it's created through, movies, you tell me that 50 Shades of Grey, okay? I mean, it was still, I don't know what that was rated. R, I guess.
For sure.
Probably pass. What was it? X or something?
It wasn't porn. But did it create the same, say, thoughts or desires that? Yeah. So I mean.
But I think because there's a story and women are so wired for emotional connection, and emotional connection is a good thing. That I think we've gone really far down this trail and we have justified it so strongly.
Well, right.
Because but they're getting married and they love each other and and it's it is. It doesn't feel. I guess I can, and I fully agree with you guys. But I'm trying to play devil's advocate for the women out there right now who
You're
are
trying.
like, I'm trying. Who are like, well, porn is it's so trashy because there is no story. Like I feel like women.
There's no stories.
There's no. I mean, sometimes there is. But the books are just more.
Both of them create false intimacy. Okay, porn is false intimacy. That's what it is. I mean, it's just sex. Yeah, but it's false intimacy. I mean, you strip back all this stuff, why guys look at porn and blah, blah, blah. It's a substitute for what God has created. The enemy is always creating substitutes. And so men and women both crave intimacy. We crave it. We're designed for it. It's in our DNA. Okay, and so God creates intimacy in marriage. It's commanded. I mean, we need it, and so porn is a substitute for genuine, authentic intimacy, emotional intimacy, physical intimacy, all the intimacy that goes with it. So porn's a substitute, but so can romance novels. They can be a substitute for the intimacy that. So instead of the intimacy that you should be pursuing your husband and your wife. So come on, you can use porn to avoid your wife. You can use a romance model, a book to avoid your husband.
Yep.
See, there's nothing wrong with a book.
Right. That's not what we're saying. Yes.
Right. But again, I'm just going to say it's easy to use things as a substitute for what God intended. Right. And I think both of these fall into that category.
Yeah.
But it just feels like we're going to give the ladies a free pass because it's a book. And I think it does couples a disservice. It does them a disservice. Yeah. We're going to browbeat the men and tell them that they got to have accountability groups and they got to have this and they got to have that, while their wives can read whatever they want, and they can read graphic sex scenes, and we're missing something. All right.
Yep. And you said avoidance, and that is I completely see that, but I also think there's that comparison piece. As soon as you start allowing something in your mind and heart that you are constantly going to compare your spouse to, it's really dangerous for your marriage, for your relationship, and your sex life. So it puts a huge roadblock in the way of a healthy marriage.
I agree.
Yeah. So historically, because and again, we're scratching the surface, guys. I mean, like, this is such a little topic in the bigger, broader topic of sex and church and how we address it. But historically, policed male lust loudly. I'm not sure. So it's kind of like we ignored female fantasy quietly. So we've got those two comparisons. Historically, like, I think women, you need to please your man, and then that was kind of the end of it. A lot of times, not necessarily always, but I mean, I could kind of see that. Not necessarily like my personal experience, but I feel like I've heard from people. And actually, in our next episode, we have a great question from a listener that will allude to that too.
I know there's a part of me that doesn't want to completely jump into that question, because I know what our next podcast is going to be.
Yeah.
And some of
the carrot.
So I'll do a dangle the carrot. Because we're going to lean into this in a little bit different way in the next podcast. And there's some other perspective that I want to bring up, and so I'm kind of saving it for the next one. So don't miss the next one.
In other words, he's like, no, skip that. But so I guess what I would love to pivot to, I would love to hear from you, PD, from a pastoral point of view. Then, so if someone's listening and they're like, oh man, like, so what do? I love these books. Or even someone listening we've kind of talked about porn issues before. I know this is we've kind of established it's very similar, whether you want to agree with that or not, because the arousal is there, the comparison is there, the avoiding of your real relationship is there. So what would somebody that's trying to follow the Bible, what does the Bible say? Is there anything we can relate to as far as like fantasies? Is it okay to have fantasies? Is that a sin? How can we go about this?
Great questions. Oh my gosh. You asked me several of them there. My mind would was trying to no,
one at a time, whatever stuck out most.
One at a time.
Is it a sin to have fantasies? And where do you kind of draw the line with that? How can we look to the word for this? I know it's
okay. I want to get to that question before I do. Okay, I want to go back to the romance novels. Just like porn is addictive, so are the romance novels. Because you're asked, like, what should I do? Mm-hmm. Are the romance novels an addiction? You need to ask yourself that question. Because if it's an addiction, then okay, you need to rethink that. You need to pump the brakes. How do I know if it's an addiction? Are you getting depressed when you can't read them, or I mean?
Is it all you look forward to?
Is it all you look forward to? Mm-hmm. Is it impacting your relationship? Are you ignoring your spouse so that you can read these things? I mean, on and on and on. Why is it an addiction? It's because the reading of those romance novels do the same thing in your brain, okay, neurologically, as it does to your husband if he watches porn. You are getting a dopamine rush. And that dopamine rush, your brain is so now used to that dopamine rush, you're going to go to that book and get that dopamine rush constantly, and now you're addicted to it. You're addicted to reading the scenes, what's going to happen. There's nothing wrong about being in a good book, and yes, that can give you good chemical reactions in your brain as well. But if you're getting highly aroused, you're getting aroused by reading something, that's going to give you a very unique dopamine rush, and it's going to be very similar to what a guy, anybody, when they look at porn. That's the addiction. You're addicted to the dopamine. Well, they're addicted to porn. They are addicted to the dopamine. That is what it does. So you need to ask yourself that question. And then, the other issue is is it creating lust? Are you lusting for somebody else besides your spouse? And again, you got to be honest with yourself. And if that's the case, well, then that's biblically wrong. We know that's very, very clear. Fantasy. No, in and of itself, the next episode, I don't know if we'll get into this, husbands and wives, you're a married couple, you have a lot of freedom in the marriage relationship. That's what's beautiful about it. I mean, you have tons of freedom. God created sex, and you get married, and it's like, there you go. Go enjoy it, And so where are the limits of that? So as long as the fantasy is not something that is, I've told people this in marriage counseling, I don't think it's a good thing to have a fantasy where you're fantasizing an affair. Okay? Mm-hmm. Because you're fantasizing something that Bible says is wrong. So you're not going to go fantasize something that is a violation of the Word of God, because in a way you're almost grooming yourself to go have one. But can you have other things that where? How specific do I get here on a podcast? See, that's so you're going to have those conversations, but that's also the fun part of being married, is that you can have these conversations, and sex can be playful, and fun, and enjoyable, and it takes communication, and so that's all part of the goodness of it. Yeah. So. It's okay to go explore and experiment and have those conversations. That's the beauty of marriage and sex in marriage. It shouldn't get, you shouldn't allow it to get boring and monotonous, and so those are part of the conversations that you should have.
And we were talking before we recorded too about if the communication's not there, the great sex won't be there either. It's very hand in hand, so they both go together.
And knowing that come on, Lisa and I are going to be married for 39 years this June, okay? And so seasons change, and so your communication in sex changes. You're newly married. Okay.
Go.
Let's go. Yeah.
Let's go. Come on.
Sex is a certain way in those early years, and then you have children, and you have to re-navigate that. You have to have more conversations. What does that look like? Because all of a sudden, the dynamics of your life changed, but you can't let sex go by the wayside. It's far too important in the marriage relationship. There's so many good things that good communication, intimacy. Remember I talked about how we need intimacy? You can't remove intimacy from your marriage. We need it. And so I don't care how old you are, I don't care how long you've been married. So, but you got to figure that out. And then you have multiple kids, and then it gets more of a challenge. Yep.
But it really bleeds into everything. Your sexual relationship with your spouse bleeds into, in my personal opinion, all the things. I'm sure my husband won't mind me saying this, but when that is on point, it's a lot easier for him to communicate. It's easier for him to do the things that make me feel really loved. It's just that cycle. And
because most men will never feel bonded or intimate emotionally with their wives without sex. That doesn't make men terrible. It is part of their design.
Now,
that's not an excuse, but also women need that as well. They may look at it differently, but there is a connection that women also have through that. So it's not just men. So often we want to make this a binary type of a question where it's just the men. No. Sex is very important to men and women. Men and women. So I cut you off.
No, you're good. I probably was going to interrupt you. You're good. You had a great point. No, I was just going to say that you also, when you are, how do I put, again, it's a podcast. How detailed do you get?
I know.
But I feel like I want to say very clearly too, that there are seasons where men do need to be more understanding. Like you just talked about having kids. There are seasons where you might have to go a little bit of time, and just be caring and loving. But if that wife feels cared and loved for during that season, it's probably going to be the best you ever had when you're back on track, or sickness and health. That means that men, again, and I think we do a disservice to men sometimes on this topic by making you guys sound like animals. Like they have to have it. Like you can go a little bit, you know, like, and there are seasons where you might have to, but that's like a have to season, not a like, it shouldn't be a habit season, if that makes sense. So, and you know, if we're speaking just in general, absolutely. But I just wanted to throw that out there just for anyone that's listening. We never want to discourage if you're in that season where you've had health problems or you are having kids, you know, like that's a different season
Health
than
problems,
what we're talking about generally.
kid issues, and
Yes.
family stress, hormones. I mean, on and on and on it goes. Okay, come on.
Yes.
There are all kinds of things that impact sex and marriage. And so, you know, marriage is a dance.
Yeah.
And you just got to kind of figure it out. It's this life is a fluid thing. It's ever changing, and you know, you wish that that life could just be like the honeymoon and your first few years or months or whatever that worked for you, but it's not. It constantly changes, and so you're always adapting, and that's part of the communication, and that's part of still moving into intimacy. What does intimacy look like? What are the needs of intimacy? And you know, and part of intimacy, and these are conversations even that Lisa and I have had. Intimacy isn't always the physical. Oh, it's definitely part of it. But sometimes, and I actually showed her this article, and we've been talking about it, that sometimes the highest form of intimacy is simply being understood.
That makes so much sense.
Right? To be understood is powerful. And so that's the communication. And when somebody feels understood, that's a very intimate thing. And then that emotional intimacy bleeds into physical intimacy. See what I mean? See, it's all connected. And so it's just this whole sex topic, you just can't make it about sex. It really is about intimacy. And what is intimacy? What does that mean?
Well,
So-
and understanding your spouse, that's part of loving them well, too. You know, it's crazy because I have been to so many weddings, and one like thing I've really noticed is that all the vows that had to do with you make me so happy, you do this for me, like, because a lot of people don't do the traditional vows anymore. I'm not kidding. They're divorced. Like, I could tell you, like, at least I can think of 5 couples right now where like that was in their like their talk. You make me the happiest person, this and that. But the people that were like, I want to show you I love you for the rest of my life. I want to do this for you. Those are the people that are still married. Now,
And
it's not perfect.
No.
But
that's being a student of each other for the rest of your life. I as a husband, I must be a student of my wife for the rest of my life because she's going to change. And I got to keep learning. But it hurt me.
Same goes for sex, your sex life. If you are in it just for yourself, for your own pleasure, it's going to be not satisfying for either of you because the other person isn't going to want to do that with you. But if you're in it and you enjoy loving your spouse well, this is just a part of it, in my opinion.
Nope.
Jeremy's quiet over here.
It's
I've been
all-
doing
it's
too much
No,
talking.
He's over there learning.
I think
He's talking to me. Yeah.
You know, and
I'm new at
I'm
this.
so fresh into marriage, and so maybe I'll understand different things when we have kids. But something with Emily, I just always talk about how sometimes I might be tired or she might be tired, and it's like there's not gonna ever be a perfect moment for it. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. But I think it takes willingness to talk about it, like you guys said, communicate about it, but to just put an effort. I think even if you're feeling it or not. And so as a guy, you feel it a little bit more naturally than a girl does. But I think just the effort goes both ways.
Yeah.
Totally.
And
Great point.
it does. The effort goes both ways. Learning what the other person needs. What do you need? Even what does your wife need so that she even wants to think about sex?
Sure. Yeah.
She's been home with the kids all day. She's exhausted. She's this, she's that. And you want to come home and have sex? Dude, I mean, I get it, but that is the last thing on her mind.
Now do the dishes and put the kids to bed. Might.
And now if
your
you
chances might go up.
you want to know how to get that on her mind, you probably should have a conversation with her.
Great advice.
You have a conversation with her. So if if I come home and I would like to have sex that night, you've been watching kids all day, you're overwhelmed. What can I do? What can I do to help? And this isn't about manipulation, guys. It's just something manipulation. Oh, just stop. You're married. You have physical needs, emotional needs, sexual needs. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And you're asking questions on how to meet those needs.
Can we touch really quick? This does go back to the romantic novels. Women have a deep desire to be deeply desired too. So if you're just coming out of the blue wanting sex and you haven't, maybe you don't realize your wife needs to be told she's beautiful in a text earlier in the day, or that you're thinking about her, or, you know, even just telling her how hot she looks, or like there are so many key factors that a lot of women need in order to build them up, like what you're talking. And sometimes men are just ready to go, and you're absolutely right. We're not in the mood, but if you can show that deep desire and you can build it up throughout the week, throughout the day, your chances go way up. I'm willing to put some money on it, you know?
And I agree. And a lot of guys are out there listening going, well, how am I supposed to know these things? You have to ask her.
Yes.
You have to genuinely ask her. And then she has to see you genuinely trying to do these things. Now, ladies, I also want to say, please don't expect him to just automatically know. Well, he should just know. No, he should not just know. He cannot read your mind. He cannot read your heart. Now, I know the romance novels say that every good man can. That's a bunch of BS. He has to learn how to, just like you have to learn.
That's why they stay in a book.
What?
That's why they stay in a book. So.
Well, you know what? Here's another reason why you either stay in a book or you stay in porn. It's easier. We're lazy.
But not as fulfilling.
No, but it's an easy dopamine fix. Real life is harder. It's just harder. And so part of I get it. I get why guys watch porn. I get why ladies lose themselves in romance novels. It's easier. All right?
Yeah.
Let's just call it out.
Yeah.
I don't even think it doesn't make you an evil person. Okay? Can I just say that? Either one doesn't make you an evil person. Might make you relationally lazy. Okay?
Yeah.
Doesn't make you evil. You're simply going there because you're also medicating pain, you're medicating disappointment, you're medicating a stressful day. And that's what you're doing. It doesn't make you evil. It's just a poor choice because it has negative consequences. Another thing the church has got to stop doing. Stop just calling people evil. Good grief. Okay? That is not going to be, it's not helpful. But gain some understanding. And a lot of this, again, goes back to communication. And that's why probably one of the greatest skills you can have in your marriage is learning to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And that's not learning to talk about how your day was. Oh, it was good. It was fine. No. You've got to get down to feelings and needs. You got to get down to those levels of communication and being able to talk about things like that. And those are conversations that sometimes change with time. You know, I asked my wife, well, what does she need? How do I need to respond to her? How do I need to, but it's also both ways. We think that men don't need certain things.
Right.
Ladies, I'm telling you, your man needs affirmation. He needs you to tell him, you know what, women want to be seen and desired, so do men. It's just different.
I'm gonna talk about this really quick because it goes exactly with what you're saying. Women, if your man, so this is for the men out there and the women, but if your man can build up your confidence, again, going back to that like deeply desired, it makes your wife want you more sexually, but women, your husband is going to want to do that for you more and build your confidence if you are willing to also have sex. You know what I mean? It's just that like I hate to say tit for tat, but it is a cycle. Because, and especially if you've had kids, like your body changes so much. And like I will say, like my husband did such a great job of just always building my confidence. He never, ever, ever said anything like, oh, like you're getting bigger or like, oh, there's a stretch mark. Never. He has never shown any wavering of attraction to me. And that makes me feel more confident. And it makes me want, because I know sex makes him more confident. Like, because that's a way of showing him that I desire him versus like it shows me more, you desire me more almost with words. And I know that might be different for every woman. True. Like that's not every woman, but it is a very like important cycle to recognize because if one of you is off kilter on that, the other one is also going to be. So hopefully that's helpful to someone out there. But
well, we had current events. We bled into a little bit of marriage stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
We're going to continue that in the next one.
Yes. Yeah. I know. We didn't even stick to our outline. We just
No, we
all
didn't.
over
We
the
just started talking about
place.
sex and boom, there we went. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, did you guys have anything else?
No.
Okay. You sure, Jeremy?
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
good. I'm good. Yeah.
I told Emily last night, I was like, you want to come sit in on this one with us? She's like, no.
Oh, that's great.
So
I didn't
Jeremy,
even
you've
know
been married
that.
how many months?
5 months and 10 days, I think.
Okay.
I love that you got it down to the
many
days.
days?
That's
awesome.
okay.
Yeah, I think
That's okay.
so.
We'll call
12
it 5
days. 12
months.
days. There he goes.
Katie's been married how long?
Oh, shoot. It was 2016. So
Do the math.
10 almost 10 years.
Almost 10, Katie.
Almost 10.
Okay.
Wow,
Yep.
okay.
All right. And so I'm
Don't forget that one.
Yep. And together,
Yeah.
15.
They're
I thought it
together
was
15.
16. Jared corrected me the other
Oh,
day. He's
okay.
way better with dates. So.
Okay, Lisa and I are going to be married 39 in June, but
Oh, my
we've been together
goodness.
longer. I mean, we've
Yeah.
been known each other forever.
Yeah.
Yes.
But okay.
Crazy.
Well, with that marriage knowledge,
Yeah.
we are going to wrap this up and go into our next podcast tomorrow. Where what are we talking about, Katie, tomorrow?
More sex.
More sex. Okay, so
But
you don't
we
want to
have-
miss it.
We got word from you guys, so which is
Yeah.
what we love.
Start with a
Guys,
question.
Yes.
Seriously, please keep these conversations going. They're so important to have.
Yeah.
Even if you are white knuckling it, I promise, like, it's always anonymous. We can't trace anything back to anyone specific. Just send your thought, send your experience, send your question, because I promise it will add value to someone out there. This is a huge topic, and we want to do it right by you guys, by the Lord, all the things.
Yeah,
so,
and I think it's weird for people because this is between Sundays. How do you follow Jesus between the Sundays?
mm-hmm.
And sex is part of it.
Between
I mean, so
Sundays, between
people
the sheets,
like, oh, I don't
yeah.
want, how can you talk about God and sex in the same sentence? Because God does.
He made it.
Yeah, he's not uncomfortable with it. So we're not going to be either. Join us for the next podcast on Friday, and we're going to continue this topic. We're going to use a great question as a springboard to talk about it even more. We're going to pull in some scripture in this next this next episode. We're going to talk about 1 Corinthians 7. It's a great passage. We're going to put it in context, though, because it's been taken out of context, and, well, we'll get to that in the next podcast. So, all right?
Awesome.
All right, guys.
All right.
Thanks for hanging out.
All right.
See you guys.
We'll see you next time.
Later.